Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi, everyone. This is Chatting with Nat. Miss Natalie Jeans and Natalie Sham. Today, we have the honor of having singer-songwriter Mary Veda. I hope I said that last name right. Mary is a teen singer-songwriter who is beginning to capture the hearts of listeners with her strong lyrics and catchy melodies. She has just released her debut single, Explosive, which is a multifaceted instrumentalist. She is one. She plays the piano and has been playing the guitar since the age of 6. Fantastic. She began writing her own songs a couple of years ago and is excited to be able to share her talent with listeners. Let's give her a round of applause. Hi, Mary. How are you?
Hello, Natalie. I'm doing wonderful.
Whew, it's been a crazy past 3 years. So the first question I like to ask is this. How have you been since the tsunamis, Roe versus Wade, George Floyd, Tyree Nichols, cicadas, COVID had some babies, mass shootings? There's a lot that's happened in the past 3 years. How have you been able to deal with all this crapola?
I have a ton of wonderful support from my friends and my family, and just I think having people that care about you and support you as well and kind of have your back through these tough times, it's just a really wonderful thing to have.
Amen. Amen. A good support system is important, especially during these. It's just crazy. It's just the things that I've seen has just been out of this world. I mean, it's just like you wake up in the morning, you have to pinch yourself to see if you're not living in the 1800s. It's just, it's like, hello.
It's insane.
It's insane. That's basically right. You're right. It's insane. So one of the questions I like to ask is this. Obviously, you're a young person, a young lady. And I'm old as dirt, but I think the generations now are way more advanced than they were back in my day. So I think I can ask you this question. So obviously, the pandemic was an awful thing. People died and lost limbs and had long-term COVID and stuff like that. But out of that, there were some pros. And so basically, I saw a lot of family members walking together. So what the pandemic did, it forced people to interact with the people that they were living with. Because, we're living in a fast-paced world. So a lot of times people just don't have time to spend. Well, there's some people, but a lot of people just don't have time to spend. So I saw a lot of that. I have some colleagues that realized they needed to cut back on work. And now they're spending more time with their family. There were a lot of articles about people quitting their jobs because what the pandemic did, it made people realize that, life is short. I've got to enjoy it. So why not do something that I love, something that's more in line with my passion, my destiny. I still need a roof over my head. I need to eat. I need clothes on my back. But I need to not cry every time I go into work. I mean, and then there was climate change. My God, when we were not in the streets, pollution level went down. The animals, trees were so excited that we weren't there. Unfortunately, they're probably mad that we're back. And then you have artists like you and I that decided to create albums, EPs, single tracks, whatever. Some people decided to rebrand. Some people decided no, music's not for them. So in your young life, while watching everything that was going on in the world, did your perspective change about how you want to be perceived as an artist? Did you stay the same? because there was a lot of self-introspection. So what did you think about in terms of your career and what you want as your goal in life?
I really want to make music that really is an expression of my true emotions. I don't want to have to hide behind my stage name. I want to be able to just say what I want to say, and I think my music really expresses that. And I think that's something that I learned during the pandemic, that I don't want to just hold back any of the words that I have. I want to be able to say them out loud, even though it's through my music.
That's awesome. What I find in today's music, like when you listen to the radio, it's basically the same stuff over and over and over
It is.
and over again. And it's hard for independent artists to be seen and heard. We have to do double the work. And, you know, it's pay to play. They're getting paid to get on there. And if you don't have the deep pockets, well, you know what you got to do? You got to get online. You got to get on all these social media apps to be seen and heard. But if you're passionate about music, you can get it done. There's so many that we can do. Now, how did you get started in the music industry? Did you come out of the womb and you were like, Mary's got to do music? Or was it something that you saw or heard that you were just like, okay, I got to get into this thing?
Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I always really grew up with music.
Okay.
And my parents played music all the time. We had a CD player in the living room, and my dad played the guitar. So when COVID hit, I started listening to music a lot more, kind of as an outlet for any emotions that I had.
Right.
And when I discovered that artists like Taylor Swift wrote their own music, I was like, wow, that's just such an incredible thing to do. Like, I want to be able to do that. So I got out my guitar and I got out like a little notepad and I just tried writing my own lyrics. And I will tell you, the first ones were absolute garbage. They sucked. But after a while, and definitely after I met my songwriting class, and all of those people have been a wonderful support system for me as well, I think I really got into my flow, and that's how I started writing music that was my own.
Yeah, I love that. So let me just tell you, when you get older, you write more and more songs, you're going to think that some of your lyrics are garbage. Because I would go back to some of the stuff that I've done, and I'm like, oh, I have grown. I have grown immensely. You're just like, what was I thinking when I was writing that or singing that? Oh yeah, it doesn't change. It doesn't stop. So be prepared. Just be prepared to be like, what? You're like, what? Who's that? Sometimes you're like, who? Oh, that was me. Oh no, I'm not putting that out there. So I completely understand that. So how important is it for you to be authentic in your music?
I think it's really important because I don't want to make something that's like everything else out there. I want to try and be unique, at least just for myself, so I can have that, you know, sense of like my emotions are out there and I said what I wanted to say, and being authentic to myself is something that's really important when it comes to writing my music. So I always make sure to add in my own little personal ties whenever I'm writing songs. And I think that's something that's really special to me too, because now that Explosive is out there, I have my own little personal connection to it. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think authenticity is the key to life. And so during the pandemic, obviously I had, you know, I was still working, but working from home, and I got to watch a lot of TikTok. And I did a lot of webinars and conferences on music. And, and so there was this one thing with TikTok, it was like called TikTok Cap University. And I learned about branding. I learned all kinds of things. One of the things they said with TikTok is that, you know, you need to do 5 videos a day. Who has time for 5 videos a day? First of all, when you tried it, I tried it, and in the beginning, I was kind of there, but then you're just basically just looking for stuff to say, then rather than being authentic and just getting on to talk about what's going on at that moment. So the key thing with TikTok that I learned, and I kind of knew, is that the videos that do the best are the ones where people are being the most authentic. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because when people watch those videos, they can see themselves in you. That means you're being your authentic self, and they're like, oh, I can do this. Now, when stars, mainstream artists, whoever do their thing, that's not what they're thinking. They're thinking, oh, this is really cool. Beyonce, Taylor, whatever, whoever's on there. They're like, wow, this is awesome. But when they see Mary, they're going to be like, oh my God, it gets me. I got to watch these some more. Now, are you on TikTok?
I am not on TikTok.
So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know about TikTok and stuff like that. Oh, it's just people being silly. But that's a misnomer. Okay. So, I mean, it's such a misnomer. There are people that are teaching you different things. There are people that are teaching you how to cook. There are people teaching you about life hacks. I mean, there's like something as simple as eating a pineapple. Who knew you didn't have to cut the thing? You just pulled out the ridges. I mean, that was like OMG moment right there. And there are people that just get on there being vulnerable. They're crying, they're depressed, or sometimes they're just happy, happy in a relationship or happy in a friendship, or they're just dancing. So basically, it's just showing you everyday normal life for most part. For most part. And I think it's a great tool. I also call it the devil because there are moments where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to watch this for just a couple minutes, and I've been on it for 2 hours. I kid you not. That's why I call it the devil, because it's like you can't. It's like it's 3 minutes, or 10 minutes of or 2 minutes, or 1 minute, or 15 seconds that you're watching, and time just flies by because a lot of the stuff I watch is funny stuff. And they said that actually the viewership on TikTok is way more than Netflix. That's how crazy that is. That is how crazy. So, as an artist, as a burgeoning artist that you are, how do you obviously you're an independent artist, so you have to manage your social media apps. You have to say something. So how do you go about doing that?
Usually I haven't posted much. I usually post on Instagram. And usually I share things things that are music related that are going on in my life. Okay. Like, for example, I went to see Broadway shows, and I was sharing about my social media. Or when I went on with your partner, Nikki, I shared when I went on her show. And I shared about the single coming out, of course. But other than that, I haven't posted too much. But I do hope to put more on social media in the future.
Now, I would say, because I'm going to play your song soon called Explosive. Tell me what that's about.
Yeah. So Explosive, it's inspired by real life stories, but I mean, it's going to be kind of hard not to write a story when you're in middle school surrounded by a bunch of teenagers who kind of live for causing drama. But, but it's kind of about this person who, I think over the course of their friendship changing, they really got hurt by those changes, and that's what Explosive is about.
All right. We all can relate to that, let me tell you. I know. All right, let's play this song here. I know I'll put it on. Here it is. All right.
I knew better back then. Neon sneakers, your voice on the loudspeaker, 'cause I can say I knew you way back when. Fill in a blank page, a mark that you can't erase. I can say that you've sure changed. words burn like a golden flame, a feeling that you can't explain. Then your eyes light up like dynamite, and then you say the word, and sparks would fly, but then the smoke builds up the sky. 'Cause you're explosive, and I wish I'd known this before I took some weight off your load. But what I didn't know, I was on ground zero, waiting for my world to explode. I wave to you through the crowd. I think I can't see clearly now, but you talk about me through closed doors. You grab me, say that it's okay, but when I try and push you away, you say that it was nothing more. 'Cause you're explosive, and I wish I'd known this before my sun would shine on your day. But you never were concerned, even if your words burned, and I got up to fall anyway. And the black smoke is rising, and I tell myself that I'll be fine each time I wanna leave you behind. And the fire, it's blinding, and I try to stay on track. You always seem to pull me back. And the black smoke, it's rising, and I try to stay on track. You always seem to pull me back. 'Cause you're explosive, and I wish I know this before my sun would shine on your days. But you never were concerned, even if your words burned, and I got up to fall anyway. 'Cause you're explosive, and I wish I'd known this before I took some weight off your load. But what I didn't know, I was on ground zero, waiting for my world to explode. He's in the rainy weather, wears light gray sweaters. He reminds me of you back then. Wears neon sneakers, his voice on the loudspeaker. 'Cause I can say I knew you way back when.
I loved it. You have a great voice.
Thank you.
I mean, I could definitely hear that song in a show. You know, maybe a show with teenage angst, or it could be a show with adults. I mean, I think it would work well. I mean, you're just like me. I recently wrote a song about a former friend, but my song's called "I'm Done." But it basically is the same premise. You know, you see certain things and you're shocked by it, but then you shouldn't be shocked by it and stuff like that. And now, one of the things while I was listening to it, it was like different ideas came to me, like for social media and stuff like that. And one of the things you can do is like take some of the words from your lyrics and make. Do you use Canva at all?
I love Canva.
Okay, so you use Canva. You create, something that's because obviously the song is called Explosive, so you could kind of make the words pop. Like you talk about the sneakers. You could kind of make those pop, and you could put some of the lyrics around it. That's what I've done with some of my songs, is basically just taking some of the lyrics and posting them with the music in the background, or talking, or even inspirational quotes that deal with what your song is about. You know what I mean? Those are some different ideas to post, like every day. when you can. It becomes so monotonous. You know, Nikki and I interviewed this promotional company, and they were talking to us about how, oh, you shouldn't post the same thing on each platform. I'm like, who has time to come up with something different for each platform? Are you kidding me?
It's so difficult to just think of one.
That's right. Just one. It's just like, oh my God, how can I get people to really like this? Are you going to have you thought about doing a music video for it?
Oh, we have not talked about that yet.
And you listen, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on music videos.
Yeah.
Our cell phones, especially if you have a great cell phone, can do it all for you. And then you get, you know, a music video editing tool, and bam, you're in. Because what people like is authentic videos also. Something that's not too overdone with CGI and all that stuff. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Authenticity is the key. Now, what do you love most about being an artist?
Like I said before, I love just being able to express myself through my music and just saying all the words that most don't, just kind of being more conversational with my music and being able to share that with people. It's just, it's a wonderful feeling. I mean,
I love that too. We're simpatico on that. I love to just say what I want to say. Like my writing process, basically, you know, I'll sit down, okay, I got to do verse, let's do an intro, verse, verse, and then I'm like, why am I writing this way? Because I like to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? So, and I'm trying to get the world to see music as an art form. You know, when we go to an art gallery and we see art, we can appreciate the art, we move on. You know, just like music is subjective, but we move on. So I'm so not a stickler for format. You know, like I do country music, America. Oh, you have to have this, you have to have that. Why? Isn't the whole point to tell a story?
Yeah, just do whatever you want with your music. It's your music.
Exactly. I'm like multi-genre, but I focus on Americana and country. And somebody today asked me, you know, what is your brand? And because she's like, oh, you got to focus on one thing, which I get to a certain degree, but I just, you know, I'm an artist. I create. That's what I want to say. But in the world of country music, you know, they're on another land. You know, what I'm trying to see and tell people is that music evolves over time, and that people start, you know, seeing this as an art form. Now, what is your process when you are creating a song? How do you go about that? And if you have writer's block, how do you deal with that?
Usually, my songs are usually inspired, keyword inspired, by real life experiences. Right. And yeah, I get a lot of those because middle school drama is wonderful inspiration for writing songs. But I'm a binge writer at heart, where I will just sit down and I can write pretty much a good solid song in about half an hour. Then I write another one. And I can knock out a couple in a few hours, and then I just kind of stop writing for a good while. And then once I get that pop of an idea in my brain, I will just go on that binge writing thing again. Probably not the best to do, but it's what allows me to create best. So that's how I do it.
You basically have to do what works for you. I know that when I'm forced to write, I can't write. But if I'm writing because I'm moved by something, and it's usually like I'm like you, I write something personal about my life, then it can flow. And if I'm not if I'm not trying to be so rigid about how to write the song, then it'll flow. But if I'm like, oh, okay, here's the theme, let me write about it, then I get angry, I yell at the screen. So I still type, you know, I type, but I also like to write on paper. I am such a paper person. I'm old school. I like it. I like to feel the paper. It makes more sense.
Feel.
Yeah. Doesn't it like feel? It feels like you're more present with the work than you typing it on the screen and doing it that way. Now, have you performed out yet? Out in the world yet?
I have not performed out in the world yet.
Uh-oh. That's going to be the next step.
Oh, do you mean this original song? Just this one?
No, just out in the world, period.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I love performing. I thought you meant this song. No.
No? Okay.
Yes, I've performed before.
Now, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a more intimate setting, or do you prefer like a huge stage where you could rock out, basically?
I would prefer, at this point, I would say I'd prefer more of an intimate setting, just to kind of, I think it's just easier to kind of connect with your audience that way.
Right. I agree.
And I feel like with a bigger stage, I'd get really nervous that I'd have to impress everyone in the room. But when it's more kind of like an intimate setting, I feel like, okay, I know the people in here. I'm good to go.
That's really smart. That's true. When an intimate setting, there's more of a closeness. You can see the people's reactions. You can engage with the audience. I completely get that. Huh.
Yeah.
Now, who are your musical idols and why?
I really admire people who can write poetry as well as lyrics. So people, of course, like Taylor Swift, Lauren Spencer Smith, Conan Gray, and Cavetown. Cavetown, in my opinion, is such a lyrical genius. Their work is just out of this world. I really appreciate all the music he writes. And people who are able to paint an image, paint a picture in your mind with their songs are people who I can really respect.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So you consider yourself a singer-songwriter, but is there a specific genre that you like to sing and write?
I wouldn't say in particular. I like to experiment.
I like it. Experimentation is very important. Now, while you're in high school, I'm sure they still do this. I haven't been in school like in 100 years. They still have musicals and stuff like that. Do you participate? Do you audition for things like that as well?
Yes. I am part of a ton of my school's music ensembles.
Oh, great.
I'm a part of my school's like jazz and concert band and like all the school choruses, and I auditioned for like the county ensembles and for our high school musical.
Awesome.
And so performing is a real passion of mine. So yeah, that's why I was like, oh yes, I do love performing.
Now, how do most of the people in your school know that you're an artist?
Most of the people do know. Yeah.
That's all. And how do they treat you?
It's been a little tough, but I really honestly do not care what they think, because I'm creating, and they can just, I am creating what I love, and if they don't like it, whatever. I love my music. They don't have to, but I love it.
They can eat doo-doo. I will say it for you. They can eat poop. And the reason I asked that question, I had Ada Leanne on my show, the one that was on before she got on that show, American Songwriting Contest, and she said that in high school that her people didn't really appreciate, or they didn't, they weren't very friendly about the fact that she was in music, but there was like this other kid who was a guy in her school that sang, and they were gushing all over him and stuff like that. She just couldn't understand it. It's just bizarre. and I often say that when it comes to guys, people don't really care. There's something about when women, girls, whoever do something, people will just have to say, oh, you're never gonna do. Oh, you think you're that good. Oh, this, that, and the other. It's just weird. But I love the fact that you are strong and you say, you know what, this is what I'm doing. In fact, music is subjective. It doesn't matter if you like it or not, because I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm basically going to do my thing. Because in this music business, you definitely have to have a tough skin. Even if you're great, people are always going to try to find something wrong with what you're doing. Always. And you're just like, you know what? I'm happy. That's all that matters. Because the bottom line is the energy that you put into your music is what you're going to attract back. So if you put a lot of love, your soul, into your music, that's what you're going to get back. When I first started out with music, I was listening to the beat and stuff like that. As I got deeper involved into the music industry, I really listened to lyrics and how people use their words. I mean, there are some great artists that use words you wouldn't even think of in their lyrics. When you listen to music, what do you listen for?
Of course, I listen for lyrics. I love listening for unique rhyme schemes or just kind of metaphors in a sense, or kind of words that have a double meaning. Like, oh my God, like if you kind of research like the time period when the artist wrote the song, you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that they were going through this at the time when they were creating. And it's just like the song has a whole new meaning once you look at the meanings of the words.
Right. That is so true. The music industry is very interesting. What are 3 things you're starting to learn about the music industry that you weren't aware of before?
All right. So, number 1, I'd say, like you said, facing criticism. It's definitely like it's something that I expected, and that I would say I'm getting used to it now. But like, I'm just gonna create what I want. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it.
Right.
2, I'd say just being able to love what you're doing and not care what other people think, and just doing music for yourself.
Right.
Like, I create music solely to create and just to have that expression for myself, and I'm glad that I have this outlet. And I'd say 3rd is just I'd say I'm really thankful to have a producer who I have a good connection with, and that I understand. He understands my style. Shout out to Phil. You're a great producer. And after we've known each other for around 2-3 years now. So now that we have this established relationship, we can create just such wonderful music together.
And that's important. That is very, very important. I'm like you in the sense that whatever I do has to be extremely real. I know for myself that with my music, I want to affect change. I want somebody to turn around and say, yes, Natalie did that. Oh my gosh, when I listen to Natalie, I feel much better, or I want to scream, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Obviously we want to make money during this because we want to survive on this earth. That's very important. But, because a lot of people ask me that question, people want to win a Grammy, they want to do this and that. Yeah, that's nice and all that stuff. But there's got to be somehow that the lyrics, the words, whatever that I've done or written, it has affected some kind of change in somebody else's life.
Yeah.
That because the one thing that you mentioned, which is true, is that during the pandemic we had downtime. More people had time to listen to independent artists. They just had time to do it. What else are they going to do? You know what I mean? And so it opened the door for a lot of indie artists to be heard and seen, which is fantastic. I hate the fact that a pandemic had to happen for it to happen. But, we accept what we accept. And it allowed for more people, when they are going through stuff, to be able to go on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, Snapchat, whatever, to find those artists when they're feeling some kind of way. Because what people really want is hope in this world.
They do.
People want to be able to laugh in this world. people want to be able to gravitate to something that will make them feel better when they're feeling sad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always tell artists all the time that if you are a musician, you're a composer, you're a lyricist, whatever, this is your superpower. This is your superpower. You can affect change. You know, if somebody says to you, "Oh, I don't know why you're doing music," you just say, "Listen, this is my superpower. Just because you don't have one, don't come to me and tell me." And basically, no, that's serious. It's like a superpower because music is the one place where people can get along. You know what I mean? It's a place where we're all connected in some way because we're all listening to the same music and we're enjoying the time. You know, people don't get into arguments, this, that, and the other. So it's a beautiful thing. Now, if you could perform with any artist, who would that be and why?
Oh, if I could perform with any artist, I think I would love one. It's not going to happen, but I would love to perform with Conan.
You never know.
You never know. Don't jinx it. But I would love to perform with Conan Gray. He has such a wonderful stage presence, and he just seems like a genuinely great person to be around. So I think he would be a wonderful co-artist.
Hey, you could manifest it. You never know. I always tell people, I'm like, don't say it won't happen, because you just don't know. Life is very interesting. I interviewed another artist on here, and she was watching a show on Netflix, and she really liked the show, and she found the producer of the show on Instagram, actually. She wrote a song for the show. Yeah, she wrote a song for the show, sent it to the producer, and the producer absolutely loved the song and put it on the Netflix show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I tell people all the time, if you want things to happen, you can manifest it. You just have to work very hard at getting it. Or, you know what, it's so easy to get in contact with a lot of these people right now. I mean, when I watch a show and I think, okay, I'm going to write a song for the show, I try to find the music supervisor. That's what you do. You find the music supervisor. You send them your music and say, listen, I really like the show. I wrote this song for it. Be cool if you could play it and tell me what you think, yada yada, blah blah blah. And sometimes they do. You see it happen for her. So you could write a song, a duet for that person, send it over and see what happens. That's why I say you never know what can happen.
You never know.
So this is a cheesy question, but anyway.
Go ahead.
Like, where do you see yourself? Oh, geez, you're 14. So I'm going to say, where do you see yourself in 7 years rather than the 5? You'll be 21.
I'll be 21. In 7 years, hopefully, I'll still be able to enjoy creating music. I'm sure I will. But I really hope to just enjoy music more than just I just really hope that I can still have that sense of connection to music that I have now, but I'm sure that I will, and I hope that I'll be able to put more songs out and that I'll be able to reach more people with my music, and hopefully that's where I'll see myself in 7 years. I don't want to plan too far ahead because a lot's going to change in those 7 years, but yeah, that's what I see.
I mean, I think that's awesome. As long as you stay focused on what you want to do, I think that you'll be able to do all those things that you want to do. What advice would you give to somebody? And yes, you're 14, but you can give advice. You seem like a very intelligent woman. So what advice would you give to somebody trying to get into this industry?
Again, I would say, I've said it so many times already, but make music for you and because it makes you happy.
Amen.
Like, don't make music just because you think that, or like your parents tell you should do it, or you've been or pressured by somebody else to make it. Do it because it makes you happy. And just, music is such a wonderful thing, and you're able to express your emotions so much with it, and just having that outlet it's such a blessing to have, and really just keep creating music because it makes you happy.
Amen. And I would also add that you stay true to yourself as an artist.
Yes.
You know,
They are.
times when, yeah, you know what I mean? So a lot of times people will approach you and try to say, well, maybe if you change your image and maybe if you did this and maybe if you did that, you need to stay true to who you are. Don't let anybody change your musicality, what you're trying to express, because obviously you have something to say.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree.
Understand your own brand. You know, I was talking to this lady today and we were talking about branding and stuff like that. And you really truly have to understand your brand. Once you understand your brand, then you know how to promote your work and who the audience that you're dealing with as well. It's so important. I was watching this show, and this guy is a model and stuff like that. So all he would post would be pictures of himself on Instagram, which were great. But he met this talent agent, and the talent agent says, nobody knows who you are. Yes, you're a pretty face, but who are you? What is your brand? Because nowadays people want to get to know the artist, the model, the cook, the whatever. They want to get to know you, so they don't want to waste their time. People look at these things now as an investment of their time. Yeah. So you have to make it worth their while to be able to say, okay, today I'm going to sit down, I'm going to listen to Mary's music, because you know what? Every moment that I spend listening to her, I just feel so replenished. These are the things, these are the things that you want to come out of the things that you're doing. Now, after releasing this song, Explosive, are you working on a new album? Are you working on new singles? Or are you just working on promoting this song?
Currently, we are working on getting out my next single, and Phil and I are hoping to get in an album by the end of the year.
Awesome.
Yeah, so currently I'm trying to trigger the binge writing so I can write like a good amount of songs before summer rolls around and we have to start recording.
This other person I interviewed, she did a 30-day challenge, like write a song every day for 30 days.
Okay.
Listen, I was going to do it, then, you know, life happened, and I want to try. And then so I asked her how it went, and she said, you know, there were days where it was like great songwriting, and there were days that was just gibberish, which I could completely understand. Like if you're trying to force yourself to write something just to complete a challenge, some of the songs might just be, okay, what the hell did I just write here? But yeah, I understand that. And Phil is a great guy. I had Phil on my show about a month ago or so. Wonderful musician as well.
Of course, yeah.
And he gives his heart and soul to everything that he does. So I really do appreciate him. Well, that's awesome. Well, Mary, thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. It was great to get to know you. I love your music. I love authenticity is key. Wait to hear your music in some film or documentary or you know, television show, commercial, whatever, you know. I keep telling people, you got to look into that sync and licensing thing. And, I mean, the song Explosive is really good. I think it would work. So I definitely, you should shop that song out. I mean, believe me, I think somebody would grab it. There's another person I interviewed, and their music was like, whoa. And it's like, well, yeah, we're not really focused. I said, no, you need to focus on trying to get this song out there because it was really good. I mean, the tonality, the theme, it will work.
Okay.
Just trust me on it. Trust me on this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. I had such a wonderful time.
Oh, thank you. How do you say your last name? I don't know if I said
Veda.
Veda. Okay, Veda. All right. Veda. So if anybody wants to find Mary Veda, you can go to www.maryveda.com. Instagram is mary.veda.music. Facebook is Mary Veda Music. And if you can't remember that, you know what you can do? You can Google. You can stream her music. You can buy the music. Please buy the music. Starbucks and spend $5 on a cup of coffee. You can spend 99 cents, $1.29 on the song. It's not going to kill you. All right, Mary, thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
Thank you. All right, everybody. This was Chatting with Nat with singer-songwriter Mary Veda. Until next time, Chatting with Nat. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.